We all know what happened in the Galwan Valley, where India had a very severe confrontation with Chinese troops, and India lost 20 of its very brave soldiers in very difficult conditions. We lost a commanding officer, and after that, a lot has been said in India about starting a movement to ban Chinese goods, ban any kind of relationship with China when it comes to investment, to the economy, ban Chinese goods. We don't want anything which is related to China coming into India any longer. We don't want any kind of relationship with China. Now, having said that and absorbed a lot of what is being said, I thought of bringing up a particular aspect of Chinese investment in our sports industry. And you'll be quite surprised with the kind of numbers that have come up. And specifically, let's talk about cricket for starters, because that is easily the biggest money game in India, and it's a massive money spinner, as we all know, which includes the IPL. Well, so the BCCI, according to the stats I have before me, gets 440 crores annually per year from the IPL title sponsor Vivo, and the 5-year deal ends in 2022, which means that we are sitting in 2020 and still about 2 more years to go, including the rest of this year. Now, the BCCI has made a statement that it is open to reviewing this policy once the deal ends, but not now. And they've given a reason, and it has come from Treasurer Arun Dhumal. And there is some substance to what he's saying, and it needs to be understood in the right perspective. Arun Dhumal says that the BCCI has currently no plans to end its association with the current IPL title sponsor Vivo, as the money coming in from the Chinese company is substantial. It is helping India's cause and not the other way around, which means what he's clearly saying is that the Chinese money which is coming into India is helping the Indian economy, is helping in generating more jobs, and of course in various other ways it's a very lucrative contract to have, so it doesn't damage Indian interest in any which way. And I believe that's a very valid and a sound business proposition coming from Arun Dhumal. We also know that anti-China sentiments have been running very high. There have been a lot of voices saying that ban anything which is Chinese, but that may not be so easy to do. And certain voices coming in from the US, from the economists, they say and they feel very strongly that India must not react immediately. India must not react either militarily or economically, instinctively, or in an ASAP mode, because everything should be done very with adequate time, adequate space should be given, and there should be absolutely no hurry to move forward. And that is a pretty reasonable sentiment to adhere to, I believe. Now, coming back to Arun Dhumal, he gave a media statement and he said, when you talk emotionally, you tend to leave the rationale behind. We have to understand the difference between supporting a Chinese company for a Chinese cause or taking help from Chinese company to sell their products in India. He made another interesting point. He said, when we are allowing Chinese company to sell their products in India, whatever money they are taking from the Indian consumer, they are paying part of it to the BCCI as brand promotion, and the board is paying 42% tax on that money to the Indian government. So that is supporting India's cause and not China's. Now, Oppo, which is another Chinese company, a mobile phone brand like Vivo, was sponsoring the Indian cricket team until September last year. And that's when Bengaluru-based educational technology firm Byju's stepped in. Now, Byju is also funded by Tencent, and that is a Chinese firm. So there are investments and cross-investments and cross-holdings, and it is very difficult to define what is Indian, what is foreign, what is Chinese, if we are talking about specifics, and how this entire process will unravel. So moving forward, again, Dhumal basically said, if that Chinese money is coming to support Indian cricket, we should be okay with it. I'm all for banning Chinese products as an individual, and he makes the point that it is for the government to decide going henceforth, but the BCCI, which is a very cash-rich entity and has a massive influence in the cricketing world, has made his point very, very clear. There is a Chinese company called BBK, which has two smartphone brands, which I've already named, Oppo and Vivo, and they are very popular in India today. By the way, statistics show that 70% of India's mobile market has been captured by these Chinese brands, and that's a straight fact. Now, Oppo and Vivo together committed about 3,500 crores, that is $550 million, on sponsoring sporting events in India, mostly cricket. This amount will be spent over the next 5 years, and it is roughly 50% of all such sponsorship committed in this country, and that's a massive figure. It has a very important resonance, and these are things that we cannot forget. Now, Vivo has a 5-year IPL title sponsorship deal, and that entire deal is worth over 2,000 crores, 2,200 crores to be precise, and that's huge. Online fantasy league platform Dream11 and e-commerce company Paytm are official partners of the IPL. Now, both Dream11 and Paytm receive funding from Chinese companies. So there you go. And Baiju, as I've already said, has investments from a Chinese firm. And Dream11 is a very, very key firm in this entire circuit, and is also an official sponsor of the BCCI. Let me also point out that Baiju receives funding from Tencent, which is a Chinese investing firm. So we are talking about ownership of companies. We are talking about India's business interests. We are also speaking about the need to stop the so-called Chinese invasion in our economy. But it's easier said than done. It's not going to happen so quickly. We shouldn't also react immediately. We should think this through. And there are major ramifications, not only in the sports industry, but in the overall system of the Indian economy. While the Prime Minister is talking about being Atmanirbhar, self-reliant, which is a great cause, but as we go ahead after this incident, these things have to be thought through. It's also very clear that where esports is concerned, there too, with Indian brands which have very limited resources, is the Chinese and their sponsor brands that have taken the center stage in the Indian sports arena over the last 3 to 4 years. And that is another area of domination. Now, I got a text on my mobile which I wanted to share with you, that the Indian Olympic Association has an agreement with the Chinese company Li-Ning, and the company sponsors kits of our players. Now, the IOA says that they will call a meeting of their executive to take a decision to suspend the agreement, and it is coming from the IOA treasurer. So you see that on one hand, you have Dhumal's voice coming in, which is measured, which is thoughtful. On the other, you have an immediate response coming in from the IOA. What is right and what is wrong is a larger debate, but I do believe that every step that has to be taken henceforth in this area, and the key area of Chinese investment, needs to be weighed, measured, seen, evaluated properly, and then a proper decision should be taken, rather than immediately going in for a knee-jerk reaction which might be more harmful in the short run.